What up, though?
We're
We said
back.
we're back.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're changing the name or what, but we're back.
Yeah.
It's
We've been off for like a year, pretty much.
again.
So we figured we'll jump on here and let you guys know what's been going on. And we're excited to pick things back up. And we're hoping to put out a video every week at least. It's
mental health related, and
yeah, it's been a year for both of us. At some points, a year of hell. So we're gonna just kind of touch on what we've been up to, and then kind of go into how to pull yourself out of depression, or at least try, and some of the coping skills that we try to use. So I will let Rachel go first because her year and my year have been very different, but both kind of shitty. So
yeah. All right. Well, I moved to Georgia and I've been here since August. I have an amazing job. I, moved here for somebody, which most people don't even know that I moved to Georgia because it's not like I put it on anything. Yeah. So I moved here for somebody. It ended up not working out. And now I'm moving to a different city by myself where I don't have family, but I'm very excited because it's just me and AJ. But for the past 2 months, I've been beyond depressed, beyond anxious, living for 4 months in, drama that I've been pulled into and hecticness that I've been pulled into that I was promised that it wouldn't happen. And, I've been living in the pool house and, just being around somebody in a house that's so negatively filled with energy has made me so depressed where, every day for at least 2 months plus, I was crying all the time. If I was at work, I'd cry in the storage room, then come back out on the way to work, 40-minute drive, mind you, on the way to work, on the way home from work, when I would get home, before I went to sleep, always fucking crying. Like I told Lee earlier, my arms are, disgusting because I scratch so much. The back of my neck has gashes. I don't eat. I don't sleep. I'm 118 pounds. I haven't weighed that since I was like 13 years old. It's just been horrific. And, me and Lee were talking about the guilt that you feel after you get out of the depression, because you don't know how long it's going to last. You can have one good day and be like, finally. But there's still that feeling like, I know it's going to come back tomorrow. You know what I mean? Yeah. When you get the feeling that it's gone, you're like, finally, at least I know I have a couple months. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But this is all stress induced. This is all environmental.
Right.
All of it
Once now that environment changes, I'm, again, we talked about it, like there's always going to be those little obstacle things, but I think a huge change will be, for your mental health will be the environment. Like if you're living somewhere where you are unhappy, don't feel safe, like anything like that, it's a constant, you're ready for something to happen. That's exhausting for your body, your brain. Like you don't get to like,
And that's what it's like. Moving in itself is one of the top most stressful things. Never mind moving to a city where you don't know anybody, for somebody, bring your kid, and then you find out pretty much that you've been lied to the whole time. And it's just like, yo, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And my mental health, it like declined. I used terrible coping mechanisms for the past couple months. Some I won't get into, and then others I don't mind talking about, like started like cutting myself again. That's fucking terrible. And it's just because I have no other outlet. Like that rage came back and I don't know what else to do, because if I break shit, I'm just breaking my stuff or doing stuff that I have to clean up. So I can't do that. I'll use my kickboxing thing. It's not enough. Like, it's like I need to get like a tattoo or something. And people don't understand, like, oh, you cut yourself for attention, or that's what people will say to other people.
Yeah.
But most of the time, I cover it. Or if I don't, and someone's like, oh my God, what happened? I'll be like, my fucking cat, bro. And people will stop right there because no one really wants to talk about stuff like that. You know what I mean? It makes people uncomfortable. because they'll think it's a suicidal thing. It's not a suicidal thing.
It's a way, I mean, and trigger warning, first of all, we're talking
Sorry.
about this,
Whoops.
but also what I think a lot of people, like you said, they think it's, you know, oh, you're suicidal. For me personally, it was a way to control pain. So
Right.
it was a physical pain, whereas emotional pain, you can't control, you can't stop, there's no way to make it go away. Whereas physical pain, it was almost a way to, in a sense, release the emotional pain, because you're like, okay, I have to feel something to make myself understand like all this pain. So I'm going to have pain, physical pain that I can see, and that's
Right.
something I can control. And it's as fucked up as it sounds, it is a real thing. Like after you do that, it's like this sense of
A release. If I don't see, like, as soon as I see blood, I know it's fucked up, but as soon as I see blood dripping, I feel better.
Yeah.
Because it's like, if anybody's gonna hurt me, it's gonna be me, not you.
And yeah, and like I said, no,
It's not
owning
not
it.
fun. It's
No.
just I'm taking light because it's me. It's what I did. And now that I'm over the depression, it's not nothing to joke about, but I'm not gonna sit here and cry about it either, because I did what I did at the time to make myself feel better.
Yeah.
But whatever is better than other shit I could have been doing that I didn't do, or whatever. Some things weren't any better either, but that's the biggest one, that I didn't do that since I think I told you May, and I did it with a brand new paring knife, and I did it wrong, I guess, because it healed inside out. So you can always see it. It's like, fuck, so I said, no more, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
But then I got to the point where I got all that rage, there was no other option.
Yeah.
And it's not like, I went and looked for a brand new box cutter, because I'm like, I'm not going to use something that's going to take forever to do this. Like, I went and purposely looked, I knew what I was looking for. I've done this before, you know what I mean? And it's just not good. It's just not healthy.
No. And I think, I think as adults, it's hard to figure out different ways to release. I know the last time I did it was probably like 10 years ago or so. And that was like a really, God, was it more than 10? I don't fucking know. I know when it happened though. But at that point, it was just, everything was crumbling. Like it's when it's the environment, I feel like that's more so when it takes, it makes an impact for me anyway. Like my entire world just fucking crumbled, like painful, everything that I knew within a certain amount of years was just like, boop, yeah, we're not going to do this anymore. And it was just so much change and unexpected. And it was like, I was alone. Like I didn't know where to turn. So like environment plays a huge part in that, because if you can't go home and feel safe, and that is your place where you can decompress, there's no downtime. It's always you're on the go. Your mind is constantly like, what am I going to do with this? How do I do this? I don't know how to do this. And so for me, that was the last time. And again, that was probably the hardest thing I'd ever gone through in my life, besides Chad dying. Chad dying was traumatic. This happening was like a mind fuck.
Devastating.
Yeah. So it was like, it's good I came out of it. But for like the first like year or two, it was like, this is not how it's supposed to be. Like, how am I going to do this? So even as an adult, you can have a slip up, but I think it's also like you're moving. I think even if the reason why you're moving didn't happen, I'm just so happy you're getting out of there, because that is going to be a very healthy change. Like you need you know, like you were staying, you know, in the pool house, you needed space, you needed that safe space. So
And it's
now,
not, it doesn't feel comfortable.
yeah, yeah.
Not mine.
Well,
I sit in
that's
my
the thing.
car after work because that belongs to me.
Yeah. Yeah, and
And the
that right there, that's not healthy for
Right.
your mind. You should be able to go in, lay down, put on the TV, listen to music, like whatever you want to do, because our minds need that. When you have mental illness, you need time in a safe place, more or less, to be able to calm yourself and think about the day. And just, it's just so important, so fucking
Right.
important.
And
And
this that I got, it's just it's 4 minutes from my job. AJ School's across the street. The biggest park in town, the best park in that city is across the street, like right there, right there. So everything's together. Whereas AJ School is 10 miles this way right now. I'm 40 miles from my job. Like now everything will just be better. And it's just us. So
Mhm.
that alone, just having our own space just makes it that much better. And I just can't wait to get there because, you got to think, I moved up here, packed all my stuff, left and came here with AJ. And within 2 months, everything fell apart. And then for 2 months, I've been out there crying and depressed because it's like, why did I come here?
Yeah.
But because the job is so amazing, I'm not leaving.
Well, and I think that's, we talk about signs and shit like that. You went there because you found this job that is going to be a lifelong type of thing. You know what I mean? Like you are secure there. You have great management that backs you in all of your decisions. That is really hard to find.
When I told the owners, I said, listen, guys, I just want to let you know, he said I have 60 days to find a place because he pretty much like is selling the house when he told me he would wait till May, whatever. And that's why I told you nothing's even in escrow. So he'll be fucked if this guy doesn't buy the house. Like, okay. But as soon as I told her I have 60 days, she was like, hold on, because you're not leaving. I was like, if I don't find a place, I can't stay.
Yeah.
And then she was like, hold on. She went on, nothing. She went on again, like 30 seconds later, like refreshed, and something popped up. And she's like, this is where Nick and Jewel used to live. Go talk to them right now. So I flew to the front of the house and I'm like, Jewel, please, can you send so-and-so an email or a text message? Like this just popped up on Zillow. She's like, a guy lives there, I think. I'm like, it popped up today. And she was, yeah, hold on. So she texted and said, yeah, have her fill out the app. I filled out the app, paid the 30 for the credit and the background check. Nick, her boyfriend, I said, hey, can you please say something on my behalf to these people? Yeah. So he texted the husband and was like, listen, like, she's been here, she works hard, she's shy, she's not a partier, like she'd be a great tenant for you guys. It's just her and her son, she works and goes home to her kid, that's all she does. And then she wrote to Jewel, the wife wrote to Jewel and was like, how well do you know her? She's like, she's only been here like 3 or 4 months, but she's like, she's my manager, she's great, she's nice, like she'd be good for that. And within an hour they were like, it's yours. I signed the lease the next day without even putting a deposit down. I don't have to put one down until the 10th, but I'm putting it down tomorrow.
That's amazing. See, yeah. And that right there, like this, there's a reason that this all happened. Like, unfortunately, everything good that happens usually has shitty stuff leading up to it.
Every new beginning comes from some other beginning.
See, yeah. Sure, I wore it for you. Better days are coming.
Huh?
It says better days are coming.
I'm telling you.
It's my Dermot Kennedy. But I'm super excited. I feel like all the shittiness that you've gone through, this is going to be the payoff. You haven't.
Yeah, like how much more karmic debt am I in? Like I thought my dues were paid up. But then but I told him, I'm like, you allegedly were one of the good ones, like you've been telling me, and then it turns out you're absolutely not. I'm like, you were like the last, like, monster you have to defeat in Mario or something. Like,
yep.
Can you handle this? Like, you've been through the beaters, the bottom feeders, the liars, and then you find the good one and he ends up being nothing like that.
Yeah.
Like that's for a different day. But, I told him, like, you think because your ex-wife cheated on you that you still don't have karma to pay for what you've done to me, you're absolutely wrong.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't balance out. Like, you treated me the way you should have been treating her after she cheated on you.
Yeah.
And you're taking it out on me.
Yeah. No.
And now I'm glad, like, you know, because allegedly I said too many nasty things. You want to talk about the reaction, but not what you did to cause it.
Right. Yeah.
So, all right, you don't want to be with me, like, because I said mean things. I'm like, 6 months, don't start writing that letter of regret that they all do. I can show you. I have the receipts. And I'm like, as soon as you start writing it, delete it, because I don't want to hear it.
Yep.
Like, there's nothing here. Like, you know, when I told him I was moving, I expected, like, you know, a hug, or, you know, I'm crying because it's the end of like something that I thought was going to be longer.
Yeah.
And no hug, I'm like, you can't even give me a hug. Like, he's like, I can't fake it. I'm like, I faked enjoying having sex with you, if we're being honest. I'm like, okay, fine. So
Wow. That is
People-
such a cold reaction though. Like,
oh, no hug, no nothing. Right. Like,
yeah,
I'm
a
listening
cold
to
reaction to someone
Right.
that literally uprooted their life and their child's life to go make something work with you.
and then 4 months later have to do it again.
Yeah.
In another city where I'm, again, no family, no nothing. My job is more family and has made me feel my job is home. Like,
That's why you found them.
I know.
Why
And
you're
in fact,
saying, because
I told you, when they retire, I'm buying in
yeah.
with front of the house manager. Like, we'll own it, like, or lease it or whatever, but it'll be ours. Like,
Yeah.
we're just taking over their positions pretty much. Like, where they sit at their desk, that's where we'll be sitting and making more money than I could have ever imagined. But I knew that one day I would. I'm sorry, but I like hospitality. Like, I always have, I always will. Some people
And
say,
you're
oh,
so good at it.
I'm-
Like,
in 4 months, I've doubled the liquor sales.
there you go. So
Like-
moving to this new apartment that happens to sit right near your work, right near AJ's school, has a beautiful park. I mean,
And the lady, the main house in front of us is a lady named Heather, and she has a daughter and a son, and her daughter has a 10-year-old. AJ is 11. So it's perfect. And the daughter, who has the 10-year-old, is Jewel, the girl who helped me get this apartment. It's her best friend.
oh wow.
So it just works out. The only thing is that in that city, it's very gossipy. Everybody knows everybody's business. So I'm just trying to keep to myself as much as possible. Like,
Yep.
no one needs to know
I'm
anything.
excited for you though. And I'm
Huh?
so excited that your mental health is going to start thriving again.
It will.
You know, it's yeah, there's a reason.
First time I've ever wanted to gain weight in my life. Ever. Like, there's a problem.
Yeah.
Like, I went to Kissimmee and someone that I ran into that I knew, he's like, look at me. He's like, no, look at me. He's like, you need to gain weight. You need to eat. I'm like, listen, I get body shame for being big. I get body shame for being small. I'm aware of how tiny I am. I'm aware I have to eat. It's called depression. Cry more, eat less. Okay? Like, however, I don't know if this happens for anybody else. When I get out of a depressive state, like, I don't mean like a couple days or a week. I mean like these month-long, everyday depressed, crying, can't get out of it no matter what you do. When I do come out of it, I call it fasting, because I'm not starving myself on purpose. I can't help that my brain can't even think about food, or it makes me nauseous about food. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so between fasting and crying, like, my skin is glowing by the time I'm done, because all the I've detoxed, all the toxins are out of my body. But then some days I'm like, where does all the water come from? Do I have any more? Am I like, am I dried out? That's why I'm so skinny. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, no, and it's definitely not the way you want to lose weight, and so not recommended.
No, someone wrote me and was like, girl, how did you lose that weight? I'm like, if you notice the caption, I just put soldier. I'm like, I didn't say if I can do it, you can do it too. I'm like, I did it because it just happened. Like, between COVID moving here, it was not. I'm like, I wouldn't recommend this way to lose weight to anybody. It's fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Like, when I'm sad, I'll eat. But if I'm depressed, I cannot eat. There's a difference between being sad and sometimes people don't get the two.
Yeah.
Like-
No, it's true.
Go for a walk. If I could get the fuck out of bed, I would.
So you know what's not to totally change the
No,
subject, but
go ahead. I said what I gotta say.
so I had mentioned before that Brendan got on Ritalin.
Yeah.
So he had started at the end of this past school year. And he was only on it for like a month at that point. So he only took it for school, blah, blah, blah. So this year when school started again, he started taking it. And we had saw the doctor like second week of September, and she's like, you know, any side effects, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, like he's doing great. A's and B's already, like killing it. So then it was kind of like a slow shift, and there was like some other stuff going on. So I was like, maybe it's that, but he was so depressed and like wouldn't eat. Like this kid will come out and like graze for hours. He'll come out, he'll get food, go back in, 2 minutes later, comes out, fills another plate. So for him not to like eat, I was
Well,
like,
that medicine makes you not hungry too.
well, so she had said, like, if there's loss of appetite, depression, suicidal thoughts, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, nah, he's fine. And, you know, I also chalked it up. He's 14. He has acne that really bothers him, all these other things that were going on. So it didn't really hit me right away. And then it was like he would bring his lunch home, didn't touch anything. He's like, I don't want to eat at school. I'm not hungry. Come home, I'm not hungry. So one day I made him eat. Like he got home, he always like shower, and he came out and I had a bowl of chili. I was like, you're going to eat this. Do you want cheese with it? Like what, you're going to eat this. So the kicker was, I went into the bathroom, and mind you, I'm home all day pretty much because I work from home. So I went into the bathroom like after they got out of school or whatever, and I saw Band-Aids in the garbage. And there were like a few of them, like they, you know, so it's like if you have like a big cut, you put a few. So I look at it and I'm like, that's a weird blood pattern. Like,
Cuts.
yeah. So I'm like, what the fuck? So Matt had just got home and I was like, hey, did you throw Band-Aids in the trash? He was like, no. I'm like, you sure? He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. So I go in Aiden's room. I'm like, hey, did you throw Band-Aids in the trash? He's like, no. I'm like, you sure? He's like, yeah, I'm sure. Because he's Aiden. He's like, yeah. So I go in Brendan's room and I shut the door and I'm like, hey, did you put Band-Aids in the trash? He's like, no. Now, mind you, this is when he was like depressed, and not just depressed. Like this kid is like always happy, not like overly happy, but he's a chill kid.
Yeah.
So he's like, no. And I'm like,
Ew.
that's not a tone I am used to with him, especially with me.
Right.
He's not like that with me. So I was like, you sure? He's like, yeah. So I come back out and I grab Matt and I go in there and I was like, look, and you know, Matt, he's not used to any of this. So he's like, oh, is that why you asked about Band-Aids? I said, Matt, look at the pattern. And he's like, are you saying what I think you're saying? And I was like, I don't know where they came from. They haven't been here all day. And you three all recently came home. So it's someone's. And he's like, did you ask Aiden? I'm like, yes. So I go in again and I said, Aiden, are these yours? Just tell me. He's like, they're not mine. What is there, a shortage of Band-Aids or something?
One box of Band-Aids should last you generations.
Yeah, he was just like, so he's like, okay, all right. So I go back in Brendan's room and I said, hey, I just want to make sure like you didn't like, you know, because hand-eye coordination with him, I was like, were you trying to like trim? Like, did you cut yourself somewhere? Like, so he's like, no, I already told you the Band-Aids ain't mine. And I was like, okay, first of all, I said, I don't know what's going on, Brendan. I said, but you don't talk to me like that. So right away he looks like he wants.
Upset.
So I'm like, I just want to know. Now, mind you, for about a week and a half leading up to this, I usually, like, they'll change into their pajamas before, like, I tuck them in or whatever. And so he had been, he would wash up, come by, and he'd say, oh, I'm going to just go to bed now. So I would get up, give him a hug, not thinking anything of it. So after this happened, I said, all right, fine, they're not yours, whatever. I said, but also tonight, I want you to put your pajamas on before I come in and tuck you in. And he was like, okay. So, me and Matt sitting here, and Matt's like, what do you, and I said, here's the thing. Like, if he cut himself in a weird spot by accident, he's not going to want to tell me. That's embarrassing. I said, so I don't know how to have the conversation, because I also don't want to put it in his head if that's not what happened.
Right.
So
I would have just been like, let me see your arms real quick.
So, well, that was the thing, though. I don't want to say that and him be like, why did you ask to see my arms? And if there's nothing there. So I was like, let me just try the pajama thing, because he wears basketball shorts and t-shirt. So he changes, I go in there, and he's like standing near his TV, and he's kind of like sideways. And I'm like, hey, you all right? Like, what's going on? So he turned, there's nothing there. He's like, no, he's like, sometimes I just feel numb. Like, I don't feel anything. And I was like, okay. So ended up staying up talking to him till like 1 a.m. And he just, he was just like, I'm sad, like, but I worry, like, I'm going to lose my friends. They're not going to like me anymore. What if I get yelled at in school? Like, what if it makes me really sad, embarrassed, like just all these intrusive thoughts. And I'm like, Bub, you can't focus on what might happen. I said, trust me, I get it. And I'm not saying, hey, you need to stop that. I said, but this is where we start training your brain. This is where we start figuring out healthy coping skills for you. And he's like, what's a coping skill? So I go through that. And I said, what mommy does is, it's always been music. He's not into music. It's always been, writing my shitty stories. And recently it's ASMR. Like those are my coping skills. That's how I calm myself. I said, but what works for me probably won't work for you, because we're
something different.
People. So I was like, listen, I said, you haven't been eating. You're super depressed. You're feeling numb. I was like, that word is a concern for me, because I know what numb feels like. Yeah. So I said, one of the side effects of the medicine you take to help you at school is depression and lack of appetite. I said, Brendan, you haven't been eating. You are like, I said, you're irritable. It's not even like depressed, like he's irritable. Right. So he was like, I don't want to take it no more. He's like, I don't want to take it. I don't want to feel like this if that's what it's doing to me. So I was like, all right. So we're just going to stop taking it. So within, I would say, a week, it turned around. So he's been eating. He still gets like bummy, but
it takes time to get out of your system too.
Yeah. And I told him, I said, if you walk by and I can tell you're in a mood, I said, I'm going to have you come sit out here with me for a while. So it's happened a few times where he walks by and I'm like, hey, come hang out with me. I'm just sitting out here. I'm working. I was like, what do you want to watch? Let's watch TV. He's like, I'm like, come sit out here, put your phone down. Let's watch something. So we watched Impractical Jokers for like 3 hours. He's sitting there cracking up, laughing. So he gets up, he gives me a hug. He's like, I definitely feel a lot better now. So it's like being able to recognize that we have the same face. So I know like his expression.
Yeah.
And so I've, been able to kind of like help him with that. And he's like, he's like, how are we going to figure out my coping skills? And I said, listen, I'm going to set you up with virtual therapy. I said, because I told you before, what works for me, it's not going to work for you, because these are the things that I know help me. I said, we have to figure out what you will do that helps you. And so it was such a hard conversation to have, like hearing some of the stuff that he was saying. And like, I was so happy he
Right,
finally
you should
just like,
like
"Ugh."
kids won't talk to their parents about that stuff because they feel uncomfortable. But
Right.
you have that relationship with him where he felt like he could talk to you and stay up to one. AJ's like that too. Like we'll have conversations that end up lasting hours just because I want to know what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what's going on. Like, you know what I mean? So it's just like imagine what he's feeling with the change and this and that. And it's just like,
Yeah. It's hard, and people don't really prepare. Like there's no book on having children. Okay, we all know that. It's fucking trial and error all the time, no matter what age they're at. And this for me is definitely the hardest age, because this age for me personally, when I was younger, was the worst fucking age of my life.
so I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like and he, at one point he said, I feel like I'm not supposed to let people see my emotions. And I said, why do you say that? And he's like, I don't know. He's like, I feel like I'm not supposed to cry. And I was like, Brendan, where did that come from? I said, is this kind of like society,
So
like, please don't cry. And he was like, well, yeah, kind of. I said, you want to know how many times I've seen daddy cry? I have seen daddy cry so much. I said, when I told daddy that I was having like a medical issue, I said, he hugged me and cried. I said, there is nothing wrong with showing your emotions. If you are sad, if you are happy, it's all emotions. And I never want you to think that you can't cry like that.
In whatever form.
Exactly. I was like, no, 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 no. So he was like, so, when I get sad, if I like, want to talk to you, I was like, Brendan, you just text me. If you're sitting in your room, you're laying there and you're like, I am sad, I feel like shit. I said, you text me, I'll go hang in there with you. I said,
Tell him I do it to you.
Huh?
Tell him I do it to you.
Yeah. Well, I was like, we all have our people that we reach out to, Brendan. I said, there are days you guys come home from work and I'm like, ugh, today sucked. like, and I sometimes don't realize I kind of vent to them. But I also think it's good. I'm like, this happened today.
Learn how to deal with life.
Yeah. And so then Aiden's like, well, this happened. So then the conversation starts like, this is what happened in our day. I'm not having a good day today. The next day I'll tell them, oh my God, today was like so funny at work. This happened, I think it's important. Like people say your kids aren't your best friends. No, but they should feel like they can come to you and talk to you, even if it's uncomfortable. And I didn't have that,
Not at that age. No, I did not.
Exactly. So
that's why, yeah.
You want to do different for your children, the things that you lacked, but also I wasn't taught how to have that conversation because it wasn't had with me.
So it wasn't a thing back then.
Right.
It was just stop being sad or
stop drawing on your wrist.
Right. Or you have a disorder, you're crazy or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, and now, like, for example, at work, on Sunday, I picked up a serving shift and we're only open 3 hours. It's hella busy. I won't say the name, but someone that I respect there that, we're cool. And there's certain people that like, if they yell at you or do a certain thing, it's going to make you upset because you don't want to feel like you disappointed them, like bosses or whatever. But he yanked me by my sweatshirt because I was walking through the server alley, like where the soda is and the iced tea and the cups and the wine glasses. Like it's only like a 3-foot space. So you're not allowed to walk through there with dirty dishes, but I don't work in the front often, only when I pick up shifts.
Yeah.
And I was busy and I was hyper focused and forgot. And he yanked me by my shirt and pulled me and was like, I'm going to make an example out of you. As I was saying, oh my God, I'm sorry. And was about to turn around. So that right there, like, thank God we had masks on because I put it up so you couldn't see that I was so upset. But I started like hyperventilating almost. And then I'm like, you're worried about me with the bull when half of your servers have on leopard print shoes that aren't slip proof.
Yeah.
And then later he said something about the shoes in front of other people trying to embarrass me and was like, when people don't know how to do their job, they want to point out other things in people because they're insecure that they can't do their job. First of all, I've been in this business for 20 fucking years. If you're I've been a general manager, I've been a bar manager, I've been this manager, that manager, server, bartender. I know how to fucking do my job. It
Yeah.
was an accident.
Yeah.
And we went back and forth through messaging after, like, what you did was inappropriate, this and that, blah, blah. And he's like, no, if you can't, I'm like, I had to take 2 anxiety meds and wait 25 minutes to stop hyperventilating in the storage room because I couldn't breathe. I'm like, you may not care that my panic disorder is a real thing or acknowledge it, and that's fine. I'm like, but it is a real thing. If I get yelled at, if someone touches me or pulls me, you don't know what that triggers in my brain for what has happened to me before.
Yeah.
I'm like, and that's not your issue, but you shouldn't be doing those things anyway. And then he wrote me something else and I just didn't open it because I knew that would make his brain start thinking like, okay, maybe was I wrong? Was she wrong? Whatever. And then I didn't even open it. So he just sees that it's sitting there because it was on Facebook. And then I get a message and at the top it says, now I feel bad, blah, blah, blah. So then I open that one and I'm like, and then I'm driving to Orlando. So I just sent him voice messages like, look, I told you before, when I'm on the floor, I respect your position. I respect that I am just a server that day, but I still am part of the management team.
Yeah.
So he's like, we're not friends, coworker, you know, blah, blah. I'm like, so I respect your position.
Right.
But as a human being, whether I'm a manager or not, that's what you need to respect. I confide in you with certain things. People know generally what's going on because I needed help with finding a place and this and that and watching AJ or whatever. So people know generally what's going on, but I'm like, I confide in you the most. So for you to treat me like that and embarrass me like that, that makes it seem like they can treat me like that if they want to. And these are children, they're 20s, like early 20s.
Yeah.
They're children. So it's just like, you know, and then the next day, you know, we have a separate group chat for the 3, me, him, and another manager there. And I wrote something about our fantasy football that I was going to win or whatever this week. And he put like a laughing face. He's just trying to make up for what has happened. I'm like, and then he said something in the group chat about like, oh, you better quit before I make you cry again. I was like, if you make me cry like that again, I'm like, I will punch you in the throat. I'm like, and you can play macho this and that all you want. I'm like, but you felt so fucking bad and you know it. And he didn't respond because you did. You felt bad. You did not want to hurt my feelings. And everybody's job's like, ooh, so-and-so has a crush on you. Did it? And I almost wanted to lash out and be like, don't be upset with me because you're married, but want to have sex with me. But it's true.
Yeah. That's not cool though. I don't know. I don't like I always say, like, titles mean nothing to me.
They don't. You treat everybody
use my title. That's honestly what I say. Like I am, you know, frontline with everyone else on my team. I don't use titles. I don't like throwing it out. There have been times at work where people are like, why is this girl in the meeting? And my boss is like, oh, this is, you know, a supervisor in CS. And they're like, oh, I'm like, yeah, don't let the hoodie throw you off. Like, but it's a thing where it's like, I hate titles, but there has to be that respect because I give that respect. I don't care what the title is. Everyone gets the same amount of respect. But if you cross a line, that's where it comes out.
Right.
Like, that's not how it works.
And that's not what used to happen. I used to be able to bite back fast, like, and freak out on them too. But I can't, because of things that have happened, I can't do that anymore. My body can't regulate what's happening. It just feels like I'm being attacked the way I used to be attacked.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's what makes it so I can't even like say anything. And for my staff, my bar staff, you know, the owners make it very clear that I am their boss.
Right.
To them, to me, whatever. But that's when they come in for orientation or whatever, I tell them like, yes, I am your boss, but I don't feel like I am above you. I am beside you.
Right.
I will run drinks. I will do what the drink runner will do or whatever. I am one of you. Like, we're a team. That's how we operate. When I have to be the boss, I will be, but that's only if you cross the line of respect with me when I give nothing but respect to my staff.
Right.
End of story. Otherwise, I'm right beside you.
That's it. And I think that's how it should be. And I don't like that, the, you know, old school, like, hierarchy bullshit. And this is the first company I've ever worked for where that's just not a thing.
There is a chain of command, but you don't have to you don't have to acknowledge like the fine print of it all the time. Like it doesn't need to be said. So if that's how you are as a manager, that's fine. And I respect your position, but you're not going to treat me like I'm your peasant. I'm your boss. Okay. I made a mistake. Like, it's like you can follow clear, simple instructions. I said, I
I would
hyper
have
focus.
fucking throat punched him.
I want to. I tell, that'll be too much if someone hears it, but it's just the point of like, you know, you just don't, regardless of who I am or what your position is, don't touch me.
Yeah.
First of all,
That
don't.
right there is a huge no-no.
When he gets me, I was like, no, you did not. I'm gonna go cry so I don't take that knife and stab you. Like,
well, it's all in the way too.
Like my dad kicked in, I'm sorry. And it's like, I'm not your child. I am 30, almost 34 years old. You're right there with me, just a couple years older. So you should not be acting like that. Not towards me. Like, I get that we're not friends or equals or whatever when I'm on the floor, but nonetheless, when I'm not on the floor, we're both managers. There's a 5-partner management team that I am on, and we always say that team management, like, because we work together as a group,
right,
to make
and
sure everything.
Even if you're just serving that day, that first of all, he shouldn't treat his servers like that in general. But at the same time, even though you're serving, you're still a manager. Teamwork makes the dream work. It doesn't
I
mean
always say that. That's
Look-
what I was like, yo, I was like, you're never there on Thursday mornings when I usually work. Well, that's what he said too. And this is the day I'm going to sign the lease. He's like, forget ever asking anybody for a serving shift because you're not getting it. So that made me more upset because that's how I would make sure that I have enough to survive. But thank God another guy was like, hey, you want like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays at my job for daytime? Let me know. I can get you a job. So that's like, whatever. He said that out of anger of just what the back and forth that we were going through.
like,
but it's not the point. You were yesterday, you were gung-ho about helping me, trying to figure out what I would do and giving me options. And now it's like every time I have a good day, it's like, you want to mess it up for me. And it's like, maybe it's on purpose, maybe it's not, maybe you're in a bad mood, but
still,
that's
irrelevant.
Like, I took it personal. You know what I mean? Because we're cool and we have like this cool connection of sarcasm and quick wit and whatever. So it's like, and all these group chats that we do and, you know, fantasy football. So I just took it personally because I'm like, I thought that we were cooler than that, that at 33 years old, you wouldn't yank me by my sweatshirt and say, I'm going to make an example out of you and like throw me out of the server alley. Like, come on, dude, come on. Don't do that. People are like, I'm like, no, because I've got enough shit going on. And, you know, this situation has been bleeding into work. You know, when I first moved here, I was so optimistic and happy, but then everything started falling apart. And I'm big on checking shit at the door. But I also tell people when they first start, I understand there's some shit that you cannot just
life happens.
Life happens. Right? I'm like,
we all have our days.
Mine just happened in the last 2 months. My bad. Like, but you know, now they can see that, like, you know, just like the day after that I found the place, like they could see, like, we can already see like your face, you know, happiness is coming. Like, I just got to get out of here. Yeah. It's like people think energy isn't real, but it's real. This house, like the Amityville horror. And the Amityville horror makes it sound like it's fun. And it's fun compared to this fucking house. It just sucks the soul right out of you. Like, yeah, the energy is still lingering from what used to be here. You know what I mean? Yep. That's why I couldn't sleep. I swear to God, that's why I couldn't sleep. I told Dave this morning, I'm like, we're staging everything that we owned in this bitch before we move into our new apartment ourselves. Yep. There you go. No bad vibes. I'm not bringing nothing. The only thing that's coming from this house that doesn't belong to me is the bed, AJ's bed, because he told me not to bring one because he had one. And now he won't need it because he's not going to have, well, he might have a 5-bedroom house for a long time. Yeah, right. Fuck that guy. Anyway, so, but yeah, it's just, you know, that's what's just been going on with me, just trying to figure out how to regulate my emotions. And I'm sorry, but those mood stabilizers, they're not doing a goddamn thing for me. They're not magical. They're not magic pills. If everything else is crumbling, it's not like I am because it's not meant to keep mania down. It's meant to keep depression from going down. It's meant to
Right.
keep it big.
Yeah. So if everything is like
So
the
low.
red,
Yeah, I'm so low that it's just keeping me, God forgive me, but like right above suicidal.
Yeah.
That's what it's doing. But that isn't a place you want to be.
no,
That
but
the
at
bottom.
least it's still there enough.
It's just keeping me right above that.
That's what I'm saying. So once you get out of this shitty environment,
It'll work the way it's supposed to, or I might not need them. I'll need them for a while to get back up while I'm getting on my feet, because
I
whatever.
feel like even before this though, I feel like mood stabilizers are, and I don't mean this in a mean way, but I think it's something that you're gonna need, even not in this situation.
Yeah, I bet.
Like
because,
there's no shame in it. Like I take
ain't
that.
no shame in the medicine game.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like I say this to someone else that I work with. We talk about it often, and they're like, it sucks. I had to like up my meds a little bit. And I'm like, but why does it suck? Because I want to eventually get off them.
I'm upset that they haven't upped more.
Well, and I say to her, if they're working, why is your goal to eventually get off of it? Is there a magical way that I don't know about that eventually your brain chemicals are going to balance out and you won't need these?
Right. Your chemicals are helping because of this medicine. So when you stop taking, the chemicals are going to go back to the way they were.
And that's what she's like, I just, I'm going to be on meds forever. I'm like, I'm going to be on meds forever. Ooh. Like if it's keeping me a fucking life, I don't even think of that. Like, oh, eventually I want to start weaning down. Honestly, like I could probably go up 10 notches, but I'm like, you know what? I'm level enough where, I had to drop down a little bit and my slurring and stuff has gotten better since I've done that.
Words, I'll be like, what's the word?
Brain fog is real. I forget words that, and
they tell you
one of the side effects. Like it's basically words that I know that I need to say, but my brain can't
pull it out of your memory bank. It's like, I know you told me that and it's real. I'd be like, what the hell is that word?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that, yes.
And it's fucking horrible. And then also I forget, like from second to second, minute to minute, I have to now say, did I already say this? And the kid's like, yes, you said that like 5 minutes ago. Or like, okay, I'm sorry. Like every day. But I'm going to stay where I'm at because it's helping me enough. There's never going to be a perfect mix where I am happy and all is well and every negative thing bounces off of me. Nothing affects me. Like it's never going to be like that. It's just managing how much it helps, you know what I mean? So I'm like, dude, don't think like that. If it's helping you, be happy it's helping you, because you're just adding more stress to yourself thinking, all right, I got to start getting off of this. Why?
I'm on 100 milligrams and maybe it's because of the situation, but it's just not enough. And she's like, you can only be put on up to 200. I'm like, why? I'm like, BPD can be put up to 400. I'm like, and that diagnosis is so similar. I'm like, I'm not manic. I don't have mania. I have ADHD. I'm like, so maybe you diagnosed me wrong because it's so similar. It can't be separated. I'm like, so if I go up to 200 and it's not working, like I'm not sleeping. You told me these would knock me out. I'm at 100 milligrams. You're going to have to bump me up to 2 because it's not enough. Yeah. It might be enough if I wasn't here, but in the meantime,
and that's what you wait and see. You know what I mean? Like right now you're in an explosive, toxic, negative environment.
There's a field around the house, just like negativity, outrageous. It's crazy. So I don't know. That's what's been going on, and I'm able to do this podcast today because I feel okay. But we were supposed to do this weeks ago, but I just couldn't do it because I was just a mess. Like I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to interact. I didn't want to. Sometimes I say it's better if we talk about like when we're going through it that we do it, but sometimes you just can't.
Right.
I don't want to cry on camera. Like I think that would show another realness, but that's not something I'm ready for. Not in the manner of which I cry, which is like heaving, like can't breathe.
Well,
like
I think the realness will come through. I don't think, we either of us want to sit here like actually crying on camera and stuff. That's not, and it, like, we want it to be very natural and real, but at the same time, there's that line of privacy that we need to keep.
Right.
You
And
know,
this is about sympathy or having, like, for us, or empathy or pity. We're here to spread awareness. Like, there are people who look at me, when I have my glasses on and I'm all bubbly, like, oh, she would never think about, or, cut herself or need medication or whatever, like, or deals with depression. Like, but that's the point, is like, we're here to spread awareness about it. We only talk about it so people know that they're not alone, that sometimes things are just not okay no matter what. Like, and we, like, I talk about what I do bad to cope, not heal, because that's not healing, that's just coping with what's going on at the moment, because I want other people to see that that's not what you have to do. That's what I have done, but I wish that I didn't have to go to that level and cut, you know what I mean? Like, and I only do it when I am under the amount of stress that has been put on me, you know what I mean? Like, it's just been insane. It's just, I'm not meant for drama or hecticness or sensory overload all the time. Like, that's a big deal when I was in this house, like, the kids all the time. Like, I can't handle it. Like, my body can't. And I'm like, I told, the guy that did the shirt thing, like, him and Tyler, like, I didn't always used to be this way. Like, do you think that I enjoy being this way? Like, that I choose to be this way, that I wake up and I'm like, well, I'm just gonna be sad and fucking pissy all day. No, I can't. It's something you physically cannot control, because it's from inside. It's not up here. It is up here, but it starts here, and the feeling comes. That's when the thoughts come. Like, and it physically manifests itself in scratching, gashes, not eating, cutting, like, baggy eyes, tired. Like, it just, people, we want to let people know that it is okay to feel like this, but get help at the same time. Like, figure out what you got to do to make sure that you can get help that you need, even if it's just talking to somebody. Like, I don't have therapy anymore, so I haven't been able to go, and that used to work for me with my friends. I needed the combo, so now, I'll call you, I'll call a friend, text or whatever, just to let it out. Like, I'm feeling this way, I don't want to feel like this, but I can't help it, but I'm fine. Like, when I got my appendix out, Charlie's like, I'm sorry, but I called your mom and made sure to make sure you were okay, that you weren't feeling like you're gonna do something again like you did last time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I get it. And she only did that because I was at the hospital by myself. He didn't come and visit me. No family. I'm in a hospital, 2 hospitals, getting my appendix taken out, trying to recover, back to work 5 days later, moving shit into it was just a mess. Like, I didn't heal the right way at all. Like, one of my stitches looks like they tried to staple my stomach to my spine, because I didn't let it heal right. So now there's a permanent indent, like, in my stomach. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Had I rested like I was supposed to and had help like I was supposed to. But whatever, I'm not complaining. Things happen for a reason. And I always know that. Even when I'm depressed, I know that things happen for a reason. But the depression is like, why?
Yeah, well, it's hard. We talked about before, it's hard when you're in that mindset to actually
Feel,
well, yeah, and it's like, yeah, everything happens for a reason, but I'm feeling this right fucking now, and
it's gonna get better.
Yeah.
This month-long bullshit, or 2, like, in general, anything that's more than like a week or 2 is almost borderline unbearable. So you're talking months, just never feeling like yourself. I don't even know what myself feels like.
Yeah.
And like, I told my mom that, I'm like, when I move into this place, like, there's always going to be a little bit of stress, but not like this. And, I'm like, AJ will be able to see me happy, and he's going to be like, who's this?
Yeah.
Because I've dealt with, like, men and my mother, this, that, and, my mom has been an angel right now. Like, she's been beyond helpful right now.
That's
awesome. She's coming to stay with me for 4 days in my new place for New Year's Eve.
Aww.
She doesn't come here because of him.
Yeah.
So whatever. So now I have my own space, my own place. She's like, I just want to help hang curtains and stuff like that. Like, our relationship has always been good when I didn't live in that, like this. Like, I lived in the jam room, and I live in the pool, like living in the pool house. Like, extra space of someone else's space. That's not what I want.
I feel that wholeheartedly, girl.
Yeah.
I'm excited though, at least, she'll come stay with you. You guys are on better terms.
We're on great terms right now, so
You and
it's good.
AJ be living your best lives.
I will be living my best
Go
life.
ahead. Keep them far, far away.
Like, I was single like 3 years before him. I'm ready to be alone again. Like, it's not meant for me right now. Like,
Yeah.
maybe later in life, but I'm fine being alone. I like it that way because I don't have to answer to anybody. I don't have to worry about anybody else. I don't I can't be bothered. I can barely not in that way, but take care of myself like up here. Like, I
Yeah.
don't need to worry about
It's
anybody
easier,
else
bro.
messing me up.
It is easier being single. There are so many different things when you get in a relationship. It's not only worrying about your happiness, but is that person happy? Am I making them happy? Am I doing enough?
That's not your job.
I know, but that's the hard part for being in a relationship. For me,
I wanna
a
be one.
relationship is a trigger.
Right. I'm too empathetic.
Mhm.
I'll feed off what you're feeling. So it's like, I can't. I just don't. That's not what I want.
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm good. Like,
Mover.
and the town is so small. Everybody suck to fuck somebody. Like, I want nothing to do with anybody in that town. Like,
Fucking
so
cesspool.
it is pretty much. It is, and that's fine for you guys.
Yeah.
I'll be over here in my bubble with AJ, not doing anything. Like, and that's fine. That's what I like. We're both hermit crabs.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think this is going to be an amazing move in the right direction.
I can't wait until, like, I'll show AJ the apartment before he goes to my mom's for Christmas break because she wants him to Christmas break. It'll be empty, and then when he gets back, it'll be all set up and nice. And I love doing shit. I love decorating and all that shit like that. So I'm like,
Woohoo.
so yeah. So next week we'll have another topic, right?
Yes. Yep. So this was more of a,
Oh.
hey, this is what's been going on.
Is what's been going on. Next week maybe we can talk about the guilt. That's what we should talk about. Probably the guilt of when you come out of a depressive state of long period of time.
Yeah.
The guilt to deal with, and there's a lot that comes with that. Huh?
The cleanup from
Right.
being in depression and coming out, and it's like sometimes overwhelming how much you have to do to kind of fix the things, I guess, that were neglected in a sense while you were in the depression,
exactly.
like eating.
Like, there are the responsibilities that you physically couldn't do before or
Mhm.
mentally couldn't do.
Yeah.
So that it's something that I don't think gets talked about enough. So we'll definitely touch into that next week, next Monday.
Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Wednesday.
I don't fucking know. What is today? What is
Monday. I know. But it's
Wednesday.
why, that's all I need to know. So next week, fish out.
Yep. So thanks guys for hanging with us, and
I'm excited to be back.
yeah, me too. I think it'll be good. We're gonna start this new year off right.
Hell yeah.
Clean. So we're gonna jump into it now, and yeah, we appreciate you all for listening and hanging in there, especially the people that have asked
I've
throughout
had
the year many times.
Yeah, I feel bad, like, because I couldn't even respond because it's like, what do you say? Like, I'm sorry, I'm too depressed to make a podcast about mental health right now.
Well, I mean, full transparency. It's
Yeah.
hard. But yeah,
But we are here for like the 5 to 10 people who like seeing us and watching us, like, whatever. It's all about helping at least one person, and people have
that's the
definitely
thing.
reached out to us.
That's why, people reach out. They're like, I really enjoyed listening to it and knowing, like, people feel what I feel, and I enjoyed hearing your stories. And it was like, you listened? Like,
Right.
you watched it?
The whole episode? Oh my God. It's just, and that it makes me feel good that, like, and I've had that too, where people are like, you guys are just so brave for doing what you're doing. And it's like, for us, it's like, we don't make light of mental health, but we try to still be ourselves.
Joke out of us sometimes.
Humor. Yeah, like, we have amazing senses of humor, so we can't help that, we're talking about something serious, but we can also be ourselves and be funny at the same time, because you can mesh things together. You just have to make sure, you know, this is what we're talking about, but we're going to add in something funny, even though we're not making light of it or minimizing how serious it is. But if you don't laugh, you cry sometimes. And that's just
Well,
what it is.
and I think trauma has blessed us with great dark senses of
Oh.
humor. So
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you, trauma. What's that Alanis Morissette song?
What?
There's an Alanis Morissette song called Thank You. You remember that song? It's like, thank you, or whatever. Anyway, look it up. But I was just trying to joke about it again, but not funny. So anyway,
Bring it back.
I think I'm funny.
Yeah, right.
Thank you.
All right,
guys for-
everyone. Thanks again for popping in, and we will see you.
That's what he said.
No bringing that up, huh? Going into the new year, that's what she said.
Always.
All right, friends. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.